such an amazing day. I'm just so excited and fired up. Like, so excited. I swear. It was like, I just like got off the call. That was just like the funnest thing like ever in life. This is like so much fun. Like, so much fun. I just had to jump on here and go live about it because I just had such an amazing time. So, little backstory. The call I was just on was a college Q&A for my cousin, actually the daughter of my older cousin. So she's still my cousin, but my daughter of my older cousin and her friend. And they are both sophomores in high school right now, dealing with, high school with the whole COVID drama and looking forward to, SATs and college and, kind of what to do with that. Both these girls are the first ones in their family to go to college. And so they had some questions and they wanted them answered. So my older cousin, which was just so cool, she reached out to me because she's 4 years older than me. And like, when I was a kid, I like was always too young to get to go do all the things, the fun things with my older cousin. Like my older sister, who was 2 years older than me, got to go with the cousins that were 4 years older than me, but I was like too young and left behind, even though I was like, come on, I can totally handle this, right? Like they got to go to the fair. Good morning, Jen, thank you. So my older cousins and my sister got to go to the fair and I had to stay behind because I was too young. So like I was always too young to get to do all the fun stuff with them. So like for my cousin, my older cousin, who's 4 years older than me, to reach out to me and ask for me to give advice to her daughter and her daughter's friend on college was just like, just like such an amazing moment. Because guys, like family is like family always sees you as like that little kid. Like my brother, he's like a NASA engineer. Like literally he is, Houston, we have a problem. He does mission control and he's working on the mission to the moon. But like, even though he's this like amazing NASA engineer, in my mind, he's still like the brother who like beat me up and like, gave me a Charlie horse when I was like, walking through the living room. So when your family acknowledges you and what you've accomplished, it's like a really amazing thing. So that's like part of like how amazing I feel. But I feel even more amazing after getting off the call with these two lovely young ladies. Oh my gosh, it's like, it's so cool. So they had lots of really good questions about college and kind of preparing for college and dealing with things during this pandemic with their classes. So, some of the things were one of the girls was, kind of struggling in some of her classes and her grades weren't as good as they had been because she's somebody who really thrives with an in-person instructor. And right now they're just basically, here's a lesson plan, read through it, and then like the teacher pops on like 1 day a week for questions. And so she's really struggling with this learning environment because she's somebody who needs the one-on-one instruction. So I asked her, what is available for them, one-on-one support. And apparently the teachers are available. You can book them, for tutoring like once a week. I was like, look, you need to book her twice a week. Your parents pay their taxes, pay those teachers' salaries, and that teacher's supposed to be teaching you. If she's got sessions available, you book as many as you can. Because some of these kids, some kids can just like read a book and learn and take a test. Like I'm one of those, right? Like I can totally learn independently. Boom. Not everybody's that way. A lot of people need that face-to-face instruction. So I was like, girl, get it. Get all that you need. Like, do not be shy. Ask for everything that you need. So that was like so cool to give that advice. And these girls, they're asking about like, how to pay for college and how does it even work? Like, how does the school take the money from you and everything, right? So it was like, I got to share with them about loans and grants and scholarships and like how there's little scholarships that you can apply for that a lot of people don't bother to apply for that you could, get your school paid for. And so it's so awesome to like help share that knowledge, and, and, assistance for them. Because, paying for college, these people aren't just rolling in money, right? They're the first ones in their family to go to college. Thank you, Jesse. They're the first ones in their family to go to college, right? So their parents aren't millionaires. So it's really important. Hi. Hey, Jory. Thank you. Thanks for turning in. So it's really important for them to understand like how the funding works and all that. So got to explain all that to them. And also explain, you know, kind of weighing the thing out, you know, once the financial aid package comes in, like if it sucks, like maybe taking the first year or the first 2 years and going to community college, because I know some actually people in my neighborhood who are doing quite well, but that's what they chose for their kid because it didn't make any sense with COVID to do that. And yeah, and so I was like, you know, the worst case scenario is you go to community college and for 2 years, and then you transfer to the school that you want to go to, and you graduate without a whole bunch of debt, like versus the person who's going to be saying, haha, you're going to community college, but then they're graduating with over $100,000 in debt. I was like, don't be that person. I was like, your worst case scenario is you go to community college for 2 years and you transfer. If that's the worst case scenario, you are like in really good shape. So it was really nice to be able to put their little hearts at rest. And, you know, I was also able to share with them about some schools overseas that are much less expensive, or even in some cases like in Germany or Sweden, they can actually go for free. That if they were interested in that was something that was so weird. Like an extra Facebook window just jumped up on my screen and I don't know why. It must be like one of my like automated apps is doing something. But yeah, so it's just like, hey, you know, don't be afraid to look at overseas schools, you know, that have better, you know, funding available and stuff, or that you can go for free. Like, hey, if you're adventurous, do that, right? So it was really cool. It was really fun. It's just so much fun. I was just like, never realized like how much fun I had, like talking to young people and like mentoring them. It was just like the best thing in the world. Like I'm like all glowy from it because it's just like so much fun to help young people, like, you know, be that person to give them advice, to be that person that like you didn't have for yourself when you were that age. You know, you didn't have that kind of like one-on-one support, or the person to answer your questions, the kind of person who had been there. And so it's so nice to be able to do that for other people, for young people. It's like so cool. In Finland, you can study for free. At least we Finnish people. Yeah. And Jesse, I know that some of the, like in Germany, I know that foreign students can also study for free, or a lot of times, like my sister did a program in the Netherlands, and even as a student coming from the US, like, but her tuition was way less than she would have paid for the same program in the United States. So even though she paid more than the European students, or the Netherlands, the Dutch students, it was still a huge savings for her. And so it was totally worth doing. So I was sharing that with them as well. Another kind of fun thing that came up is, so my cousin is struggling right now. She's in Spanish 3. And, you know, Spanish 2 she took last year, but since the second half of last year, or since, you know, everything was, since the second half of last year, everything was messed up with COVID. Like they like basically didn't teach them anything that second semester after COVID. So like she basically learned nothing for the second half of Spanish 2, and now she's in Spanish 3. And everything, like the directions, the lesson plans, like everything is 100% in Spanish. And she's like really, really struggling. She's like, I don't know what to do. Like, she's like, I talked to them about seeing if I could drop it, and they won't let her. And she's like, I don't want to have a failing grade. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm really, really struggling. So I gave her some fun advice, because I said, hey, yours truly went from 0 to proficient, not fluent, proficient in German in 1 year. And I did it by studying alone with Rosetta Stone. But what helped me get there, besides the Rosetta Stone lessons, which were really, really good. So I highly recommend Rosetta Stone for anybody learning a language who's just like out here watching this and like, oh, I kind of want to learn a language. But to supplement that is finding a practice buddy. So I befriended every German that I could find, which actually was like 2 or 3 people. And one of them actually in Germany. So we had like, you know, German chat going on. So I would just write to him fully in German, like to the best of my ability. And I'm sure my grammar was appalling at times, but he was really cool. And he would write back, and he would gently correct me on stuff that I was like, you know, my grammar was horrible, especially that D, das, der. I just never could get. I'm still not perfect at that. I'm like probably 50-50 at D, das, der, but It was, studying. The more I studied, the more I practiced with him. I watched German movies. I set up a German movie night with a German friend that lived locally. We would watch German movies with German subtitles. So I'm not reading English the whole time. I'm actually reading the German. So as I'm hearing it, I'm actually seeing it too. And that really helped me a ton as well. And so I told her with Spanish, a lot of people say the best way to learn Spanish, and I know people who have learned it this way in a year, is with novelas. So I was like, you have cable, right? She's like, yep. I said, Univision is going to be your favorite channel. You were going to watch the novelas, and you were going to get good at the Spanish. Because the reason that the novelas are the secret to learning Spanish and not just watching other regular educational shows is, and educational shows like, Carmen Sandiego or whatever, all that stuff is like good too, but like the most important thing is they overact everything in the novellas. Like everything is so dramatic. And because they're so crazy dramatic about everything, you can understand the meaning and understand the words, understand actually what's going on and learn better. So she has homework to learn to love Spanish novellas, to get her Spanish back up to speed where she needs to be, because her school's totally failing her. Oh yes, that's true. Getting a mentor, friends help along the way is key. You're right. Yeah, it is so true. Like, because you have to practice, right? I mean, she doesn't have the ability to just move to a Spanish-speaking country for 6 months, which would help, right? Be complete immersion. So the best way to do it is to immerse yourself in the language as much as possible, and as much as possible, so that you can practice with, and not be afraid to mess up and, sound stupid, because the person knows you're practicing. So it's great. So so excited to be able to share those tips with her and her friend. And, it's sad to me that the schools are totally failing our kids during this time, and that they're just basically giving them a lesson and saying, here once a week, you can ask questions. That's like the main mode of learning. It's not fair. But unfortunately, I am not the director of education for the United States, so I don't have the power to change it. But I hope that those in power will actually do something to help our students that are struggling or getting left behind, or the parents, and any parents that are watching this, if your student is struggling and getting left behind, that you advocate for them, that you demand that those teacher gets a one-on-one Zoom system session set up and gets the tutoring and teaches your child. Do not be shy. Do not say, well, it's COVID. Your tax dollars are paying that teacher's salary. And so if your kid needs extra help, you get that extra help. It's not fair for your kid to be uneducated because, COVID and no one wants to work, and we'll just say it's COVID, and so the colleges will just let me in. I told her, that's not the way it works. You got to take the bull by the horns, and you got to demand that you get the education that you deserve, so that you are able to succeed when you're in college and able to succeed in life. Because in life, you can't just sit back and hope people are going to give you a pass. You can't sit back and hope that people will say, well, because of this circumstance, we're not going to worry about this. No. You have to grab the bull by the horns, and you have to advocate for yourself and for your family and your loved ones. And you have to, you have to get the knowledge, get the training, get it what it is that you need to succeed, and not be shy and wait for somebody to give it to you, or hope that they will just give you a pass because of circumstances. Like, you have to take the bull by the horns. And the people that are willing to take that bull by the horns are the minority, and those are going to be the people that are going to succeed. Not the people whose, parents try to get them a pass or whatever, but the people who took the bull by the horns. So it's so important, and it was so fun to teach that lesson to these young people today. I was just like, I was just like, oh my gosh. I've been like, obviously my coaching is focusing on entrepreneurs and businesses, but I'm like, maybe I should set up a separate coaching package for students, because I love working with these young people. It's so exciting. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. I'm like all on fire with the Holy Spirit and working with young people and all that good stuff. So it's just like the funnest thing ever. So I had to share it with you. Anyway, I wish you a beautiful rest of your Thursday, and I look forward to chatting with you again soon.